Oh, there we go. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
there we
what I
go.
want.
Okay, thanks for coming out to another night of Chili Chats on the Goblins and Gambles channel. I'm Eric, the host of Chili Chats, and we're here with Brian Patterson of internet fame. He did the D20 Monkey webcomic for years.
They say that history is the
Oh no,
greatest of
stop
all
talking.
teachers.
Sorry. Icewind Dale is trying to talk to us. Brian, do you
All
want
right,
to
well, it's
introduce
been nice
yourself?
being. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me, everybody. All right, bye.
Yeah, that was it. That was the whole stream.
That was it. That's my whole thing. Hi, I'm Brian Patterson. You may know me from the internet. Brian Patterson or Brian F. Patterson, depending on where you find me. I am a cartoonist, cartographer, and I've been busy making webcomics and working in for about 10 plus years now. So,
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
oh no.
Am I dying? No, I'm not good. Are you still there, Brian?
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm still here. Are you still streaming?
I'm trying to. It's tough. This the lighting's really close. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully
Okay.
I don't cut out too much and
Okay.
hopefully my stream quality goes up cuz OBS is not happy with me right now, it looks like.
OBS is not happy with you right now. No.
No.
Like I pulled it up and was like, let's take a look. Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just keep plugging away though. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
We'll do our
Yeah.
best here.
And if weather ends up becoming an issue, we'll punt. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So, have you ever played Icewind Dale?
You know, I never have. I've played
Shame.
so many games, but I've never played this one. I've always just
What
seemed
about
to.
like Baldur's Gate? Are you familiar with any of those ones?
Yeah, I've played
Okay.
Baldur's Gate.
So this is just like their follow-up to Baldur's Gate that was kind of like it came after Baldur's Gate, before Baldur's Gate 2. I think it was just kind of like an easy game for them to make. They didn't stress too much about storyline and stuff. It's still a fun story, don't get me wrong. It's just they definitely, it's not as like polished as Baldur's Gate or Baldur's Gate 2 is, I would say. There's no in Baldur's Gate there's like a story to your main character, how he was the son of Baal and blah blah blah, and all the NPCs had their own little stories. There's no main character story in this. There's no NPCs. You make the whole party. So it got like a little bit less to it because of that, I would say, but it's still a wickedly fun game. So I'm right now in like their version of Moria almost. So there's this it's like a dwarven. It's called Dorn's Deep. It's fallen under. Orcs killed it years ago, and now I have to go into like a temple area and fight a whole bunch of undead. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun time. I think
Nice.
this is probably the first lich. Yeah,
Yeah, I was promised. I
A
was
lich.
promised there would be a lich
yeah,
fight.
and it's
Yeah.
this is a cool. I highly recommend anybody steal like this storyline because this is a really cool like little side quest. See, I just gotta get past this ghost talking to me.
So you're saying that in this one, basically, you're building a party who is going in and dealing with.
Yeah,
this,
you
right?
start up your own party, like because like well, the first time I played this, it was after playing Baldur's Gate, where you pick up NPCs all the time. So when I made my first party, I only made like 3 guys because I'm like, I want room to put some NPCs in. I started playing, and I realized that there's no NPCs. There's no one to pick up and add to your party. So whatever you start with is what you go the entire game with. So for this version,
Gotcha.
in this playthrough, I'm playing a party of 6 bards. Because
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
It's because bards are the best.
It was more that it was a joke. It is actually it hasn't been awful. We'll talk about some of the terrible ways that it's been fun, but
I'm just saying,
conversation over.
bards are just the best, man.
They're a lot of fun.
People like to make their jokes.
Yeah.
Sure, make your jokes. Bards are awesome. They can do everything. Good doing it. The game.
Keep losing you, Brian. It's terrible.
I mean, I'm still here.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you holding it out with me. That storm is just killing.
I'll never let go, Jack. I'll never let go.
There was room on the. There's room for him.
There was room.
There was room for him.
There was room for both of them. At the very least, they could have taken turn. Okay, like,
yeah,
stupid. So stupid.
So stupid. Come on.
But yes, this ghost is very.
He's very chatty. I'm just trying to get through as quick as possible. I think I can just say I think I'm good. I think I got the information I need to get from him. So basically what he was saying is that through this area is their land of the dead. It's their graveyard where they've been keeping dead dwarves for hundreds of years. And this lich opened up like a connection to like the negative plane and is trying to use it to like summon forth a horde of undead to like take over the world. And this isn't even the main storyline. Yeah. This is just like a little side plot. So basically I have to go in here and beat this lich up, find his phylactery. He's not a full-blown lich. So he's not full-blown. He's just like a half-lich. I have to beat him up, steal his phylactery, and he's going to keep like coming back to life and attacking me. Mm-hmm. And I have to get the phylactery to a tomb, and like the holiness of this tomb is going to destroy that phylactery. So it's a pretty cool story in my opinion.
I think I have the most important question right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody on your show's ever asked it.
Yeah.
How many times have you played this game?
Me? I think at least 6 times to like start to finish. At least 6 times. And like a smattering of other times where I've started. Yeah, I'd say at least 6.
That tracks. Yeah, I thought it had to at least be 3.
No, more than 3. I played just last year. I played a run through of I did a party of 5 paladins and a bard for fun, and that was wicked fun. I just like hack and slash my way through the whole game. It was really fun. I highly recommend that to anybody. Yeah, 5 paladins is a tank of a. So I'm just setting up my spells right now. So the cool thing about this game is you can pause, set up all your spells, tell everyone to do what they need to do, and then you can just unpause. And so there's zombies here. There's like some skeleton archers. So I'm gonna have a good time here. It's quite the force.
I'm getting the vibe. I'm almost getting the vibe from this thing. I was about to say it reminds me of Pillars of Eternity, but I guess I should say Pillars of Eternity should remind me of this game.
Yes. This one came out in 99, so
yeah, I was gonna say I feel like Pillars of Eternity kind of borrowed from this, but the whole here is a group, we're setting their tactics.
Yeah,
they're gonna go out and do their thing.
Yeah, I mean this is the closest thing you could get to playing Dungeons and Dragons when your friends weren't around, right? It used the same rule set. It gave you gave you a sense of like what fighters do, what rangers do. So like, if you ever wanted to like test out a person before you play in a real group, this is a decent way to do it. You can see what they're like in combat. So it was good. For me, this was probably like how I got introduced.
Have you played Pathfinder?
Pathfinder? Yeah, we played Pathfinder First Edition for our podcast.
Have you played Pathfinder's? The Pathfinder, the King.
No. I've stayed away from that video game because we're running through Kingmaker in our podcast. I'm a player.
Oh, so okay.
I don't want to. You know what? I'm just going to toot my own horn for a second. They made my character king, so I'm pretty.
Oh,
I'm
that's
a pretty big
awesome.
Deal, which is hilarious to me because like I built my character not to be a leader. He's an uncharismatic cleric, and somehow he ended up as the king, which just boggles my mind. It's been a hoot though. He's a lot of fun to play. He's Baynard, the cleric of Erastil. Yeah, it's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good times.
Oh man, the poor stream.
Yeah, I feel bad. Like this thunderstorm is not helping things, I think. Yeah, see, he keeps going red and dropping, and
Just angry.
it's just angry. Just angry. Wonder.
There's there are a few things more there are a few things that make you feel more just, like you're a disappointment than
Yeah.
OBS throwing you the dropped frames and the red indicators,
Yeah. It's like, I wish I could do something about this. We got some good lightning though. I haven't had a good lightning storm in a while. Oh, I had yellow for a second. That was good.
It's a it's a day.
Mm-hmm.
You're having a day when you're like, yes, yes, it's yellow.
Mm-hmm.
We're there.
It didn't last long though.
It's progress.
I wonder if we just cut the stream to you for a bit.
Man.
Let's see if that saves my internet a bit. We're gonna cut this for a second.
Okay.
Let me just adjust the screen a little bit. Maybe that will save things a bit. Let's move our things around.
We'll see.
I mean, we'll try it. Yeah, it's saying like drop frames are 76%. That's no good. No bueno.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Must be the storm coming through your area.
Or my internet just sucks. Who knows? I got the company I'm with here isn't always the best. I know I have some other friends that try streaming with them as well, and it just doesn't always go well. Who knows? Like we were talking, it's similar to the Instagram algorithm. It's like, I don't know how this works. I don't understand. One day it's great, the other day it's like, nope. Nope, nope, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. What can you do?
Not much, really, to be honest with you.
So, how did you get into tabletop games? Like, how did you get familiar enough and get jokes enough to start like a webcomic with it? Like, I'd love to hear that story.
Well, I mean, tabletop's always been a part of my life. I started playing D&D when I was just, to me, at its core, tabletop games in general they're hilarious.
Yeah.
Just right at the core of what they are.
Yeah.
So the concept of, a bunch of people sitting around rolling dice and pretending to be somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
and doing things that you normally couldn't do in real life, and there is real humor in that to me.
Yeah.
And so when I was playing games all those years, just over those years, I saw what we now consider to be, stereotypes or tropes or whatever. I was seeing them in real time, and just having a love for comics already. By the time I decided to get into making D20 Monkey and just making jokes about tabletop and the drama that comes from groups and playing games, I had a decade plus worth of material just sitting in my back pocket from, actual play experience.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing is, I came into it wanting to poke fun in yes, I'm also making fun of myself, but I'm also doing this from a place of love.
Yeah.
From we've all been here, we've all done this, we've all seen this. So that was always kind of my attitude on it. Was I never intended to point and laugh as an outsider. It was more of a no. I've been this big of an idiot too. Look at the dumb things I've done. So, so yeah, when I came in, I had a lot of content, and I had met so many gamers over the years that, and I've said this from day one. So many people that appeared in the series over 10 years were largely based on specific individuals I had met, or they were amalgams of a few people that I had met over the years, and just some of their behaviors and their appearances and things like that. So it was pretty simple. You tooted your horn, I'll toot mine, kind of in general. So making comics and making those jokes wasn't a big stretch for me. It was, I did what I loved, and poked fun at the hobby that I loved.
Yeah.
So it was
for sure. And it comes across like that it's like what you're talking about too. Like that it's not like you're just trying to like take advantage of an audience at all. Like you.
No.
I just started reading a few of them today, and I really liked your Columbus one, where like the guy gets the nat 20 on Columbus in the middle of his speech, and like I've been there with players where it's like something like that, where I'm trying to do something, and then they just like ruin it because they don't understand what I'm doing, or like they're just trying to have fun, and it's just like I've been there as the DM, where it's just like, can you guys not do this, like, please? And it's
at least give me the respect of allowing me to finish the monologue.
Yes, before
you elect to murder me.
Yeah,
let me at least do that.
Yeah. It's like, can you please put your arrows away for just 5 seconds while this guy talks, please? And so it's like, that's a thing that a person can like fake. Like, you have to be immersed in the hobby to like know those like types of experiences, and like, so like, it's very relatable. Like, also like a few before that, what was it? I want to get this guy's name right because I just thought it was the funniest. Because like, if you've DM'd a few games, like everyone's done this. There is only Throdicus, Slayer of Men, Pleasurer of Women, Save versus my godly Wang. Like, that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous. And we've all played with a guy like that, where like,
we know that guy.
Yeah, we all know that guy. We all know Throdicus, and it's ridiculous. Put some pants on, man.
Well, see, like in your reading, that's the thing too. That's actually kind of what I'm excited about now. Is I love when people, will approach me on, social media, and before the pandemic, when I was still doing conventions and such,
mm-hmm.
Meeting people at conventions who said, "Hey, I just started reading. I started from strip 1, and I'm reading through your catalog." And a previous version of me would have self-deprecatingly said, "Oh, you started from the beginning? Oh, I'm so sorry." I don't do that so much anymore, because now I've learned over the years, you started from the beginning, awesome. Then you get to see how far it comes.
Yeah, and that's the exciting. That's the exciting thing about webcomics.
Art and writing.
Yeah, because that's always what I've enjoyed about webcomics. Like, back when I was younger, I used to follow like questionable content like religiously, like and what a couple others, Sam and Fuzzy, and I loved going back. Once you got really far, I loved going back to the old ones to see how much that person has progressed as an artist, and to see how much even their jokes or their storytelling has improved so much more. And it's such an enjoyable thing to see a person turn like this weekly jokey thing into like a very serious piece of work. It's such a wonderful journey to take. Like, and it's really nice being on that journey. And you don't get that with the Sunday morning cartoons, because like even like, I love Calvin and Hobbes, don't get me wrong, but like once, and like because they're so constrained, and like we were talking about this before the stream, with like not wanting to work with big publishers because they're gonna box you in, right? And that's what those artists and stuff, and like they can't change how, like, you can't change how you draw Calvin or Hobbes, because you have to keep it the same for that Sunday morning like Sunday morning audience. If you start changing it up, then they'll get mad. Like, there are some ways where you see Bill Morrison improve over the years, but he still has to do Calvin in a certain way, in certain form. Whereas when you're doing your own webcomic, when you have complete control, you're allowed to like change how they look and grow.
Well, I mean, look at Bill Waters. Take him as he's a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Exactly like you said. He had to maintain a certain look because syndicates and
Yeah.
publishers and papers were telling him you need to maintain a certain look and do a certain thing,
Yeah.
to the point where he said, I I need to evolve, I need to change. You know what? I'm just done with this.
Yeah.
I'm just done. Bye. And
Yeah.
just left.
Yeah. He
You know.
walked away from like piles
And
of money too, and it's impressive that he's willing to do that. Yeah.
yeah, there's a certain line in the sand I think you draw for your own creative pursuits. You know, like you look at series like mine and questionable content and several others who start, like you said, start at one spot and then just, not because there's a day, like I know for me I didn't have an epiphany. I didn't wake up one morning and say I'm going to change how I do this. But somewhere around year 2 ish, it started to shift away from constant gag a day type stuff, you know, 2 panels and a punchline, to now these people matter to me. These people matter to the readers. Went from hear all the jokes in their campaign to now we care about them at the table and away from the table. And it has to be, you have to have that freedom to have that evolution over time. And when you do your own thing, like with webcomics and your own self-published stuff, you have the freedom to do that.
Yeah.
And you know, that's always the big thing I bring up is I love comics. I love Marvel and DC stuff. I love the big two. I love Batman. I love Captain America. You know, I love those characters, but you're never going to see huge changes or evolutions to those characters because they're not going to allow huge changes and evolutions to those characters.
And even like
They are,
when people try to do changes for any characters, like so much of the audience just like throws up their arms in disgust and like it's so hard. And like it's so like in Captain America, like he's like what, 60 years he's been going strong now, more than that, 80 years. Like how do you change that? Like how do you make changes to it? Like I love Captain America too, but like
they try.
Yeah.
And I think that's the frustrating thing I think about being a comic fan is there's that very vocal majority who say, no, don't change him. You know, and then there's smaller subsets of groups. Like I've been part of them at some points where, like I remember many years back, there was the storyline, since we're talking about Cap, it's the one I'll use. Something, I don't know the exact details of it, but something had happened to the effect of where his super soldier serum finally gave out.
Oh, cool.
And he aged. His age caught up with him.
Like really quickly?
And he didn't die. Like over the course of like, I think a couple of months.
Oh, cool.
You know?
That's amazing. That's a good storyline.
He didn't die. He just aged.
Yeah.
And I was one of the minority going, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Because now it forces change.
Yeah.
Now someone else needs to step in and be Cap.
Yeah.
And the majority screamed, and Marvel went, okay, fine, we'll have to fix it.
Jeez.
Now, I'm quoting hard there. Fix it.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing is it's. I think when you own your own property this way, and you can have that natural evolution over time, it's the best. And like you said before, I like webcomics for that. As a fan, I like reading a series for a long time and then just getting a wild hair and saying, I'm going to click that first button.
Yeah.
Because I want to see where this started again. And just appreciate it for the growth.
Yeah,
and
that's
from the art side.
That's the thing is, because generally these are the same artist, same writer, same you often it's one person doing it for webcomics. Not always the case, but I mean most ones I've read have usually be just like one, maybe two people. It's such a great thing to be able to like check in on an artist weekly, see how they're doing, see how they're growing, and it's just such a nice. It's a lot like when we were talking about on before the stream on Twitter, when someone says, "Oh, I got a job interview," or "Oh, I got the job," and like it's great to be part of someone's like growth, like even in like just an audience way. It's great to be part of it. Like you feel connected to that person, and it's just it's like, as an audience person, it's just a nice place to be. Feel more connected to the product that way. So like you end up being more like, I feel like you can reach out and touch a webcomic, not the same way that you can reach out and touch a Marvel comic. You know what I mean? Like those still feel like there's a wall between you and Marvel, whereas like webcomics, there's not much between you and that creator. It's a nice feeling to be in, I think. It's a great part with that medium.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, because it's like you said, it's 9 times out of 10, you're looking at webcomics. It's a smaller number of people. It's either a single individual or duo, or at the most trio. And we're all just out here doing the best we can to manage it all. But I've said this from day one, and I'll say it until I'm no longer doing anything, is every nice comment, every fan, every person that's engaged me on Twitter or at cons or anything like that, I remember every one of them because it's more personal, because it's, like you said, it's when you have the major publishers like Marvel and DC, and I'm not knocking them, but it's, here is all this distance between the reader and the creator.
Yeah.
Even with social media being what it is, there's this huge gap. Whereas with webcomics, there's I'm going to tweet directly at this person, and odds are they are going to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's a much more personal thing, and it's amazing. And you funny enough, you see that over in tabletop as well. You see that a lot. If you make something in tabletop and people like it, they seek you out and tell you.
Yeah.
They'll also do it if they don't like it. But
the tabletop thing,
I found they're not as rude. Yeah.
The table thing, I'll take it as an example. I think it took me a little bit of time to for him to finally answer me on Twitter, but I kept up a campaign for about 3 weeks where I kept messaging Jason Bullman. He's a writer and editor and stuff for Paizo. He does a lot of the Pathfinder stuff. And because in one of the books they published, I was trying to run it as an adventure, and there was a chart in there it was like the whole idea was you join a cult to try to take the cult down from the inside, but it had a chart of what an initiate in the cult would be doing throughout the day, and there's a time jump. They missed from 10 a.m. till 11:30 what the person initiative does in that time. And so I messaged him what does an initiate do during these times? And he's like, my notes are inaccessible. I'm sorry, I can't get that information, but they were probably peeling potatoes. I'm like, God damn it. fix your mistake. But he finally did answer me because
at least At least I
got an answer. I mean, it wasn't a good answer. But I get it.
But it's still an answer.
He wrote it 15 years ago or something like that. It's an older one, so I get it. And of course, he's not going to have that at his fingertips. And it was just a fun thing for me to try to bug him to get it. But I did get an answer. He did interact with me, and because tabletops are a smaller medium and stuff, then there's more of a chance of me getting on his feed and him noticing me than there is for George Clooney. If I try to tweet at George Clooney, I'm not going to get an answer. So it's interesting in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting social media and all that in itself has always been a fascinating thing to me, but and that's, I think that is a very good way to look at it, in that I know there are plenty of people in comics and in tabletop who are absolutely lovely people, but their fandoms are to such a size that if all they did was sit and answer people who were tweeting at them or in their DMs on Instagram, they do nothing else. So it is that thing of, and I'm guilty of it every now and then. Somebody will message me about something, and I'll say to myself, I need to reply to that. And it'll completely slip my mind. So I've never taken that as a I guess this guy thinks this person thinks they're too important. No, it's not that. I've never taken it that way. But the fact that you stayed consistently in his feed asking about what that cult member was doing from this time to this time, and found out that he was peeling potatoes, that's about the outcome that should have been expected. I think.
I just thought it was a
amazing.
fun thing to happen. Like, I came up with like good reasons to tweet at him. Like I would find like tweets that he would do, and I'd do like a reply. It's like, yeah, that's a really cool point, Jason. But by the way, what were the cultists doing from? And it was a lot of fun. I kept it up for like 3 weeks. I think I sent like 6 or 7 tweets at him, and he finally responded. It was good. It was a good time. It was fun.
Well, I mean, it's it's that tightrope of trying to build a rapport or a running joke with someone that you want to have that connection with, and I don't know him personally, but I know damn good and well he probably will remember. He remembered that for a period of time at least.
I hope so.
I'm sure that was I'm sure that was a story he told at dinner one night.
Yeah, it's like, this goddamn kid.
Just this guy keeps asking me about this cult member.
Can't do it. I don't want to answer him.
I actually had one before I did some work for him a couple years ago. I'd always kind of circled around his circles. We had interacted briefly a few times, but we never were like buddies and never chatted on the regular. But like, I had the same kind of relationship with Monty Cook, where we floated around each other. We interacted once or twice, but I have this running thing with Monty Cook. Anytime I ever have any kind of conversation with him, if it's in tweets, if it's at a con, doesn't matter where it is, I always ask him the same question, and he's never answered it, and he never will. There is a character in Tolas. There is a character in Tolas called the Iron Mage.
Okay.
And the identity of the Iron Mage is a secret, a well-guarded secret in that world. I ask Monty Cook every chance I get, hey, who's the Iron Mage? And I've never gotten, the closest I got to an answer was, and I'll never forget it, his response was, the Iron Mage is exactly who he tells you he is. And that's it. I'll never get an answer.
Yeah, maybe one day.
But I know
Keep
that but I like to think in my head canon that there is a chance that if Monty Cook ever sees my name on a panel at a con that he's going to be on, Brian Patterson's going to be, damn it.
I'm out. He's going to be hounding me with the Iron Mage again.
He's going to be I'm about the Iron Mage again. And in my version of the headcanon, that full statement is, oh man, he's gonna be on me about the Iron Mage again. Man, I don't know who the Iron Mage is. I just said that. I have no clue.
I don't want to think about
that's something I made up. I made that up on the fly in one session and went, that was cool. I just put it in a book. Yeah.
I think that's my favorite thing to do. I'm getting a lot more into planting plot hooks that I don't even know the answer to in my games. Like if anyone ever listens to our podcast, there's a section where I'm the DM, and the guys split up before they head into like the tavern to like join the cult. And one of the guys he gets stopped by an old lady who's like, "You look just like my son. He passed away in the war. Here, take this amulet. It'll protect you." And like, I have plans for that amulet. I haven't decided what's going to happen. And I love it too, because I think the player's forgotten that he's gotten this amulet. So like a year or 2 years from now, I'm going to like drop something cool that this amulet does. And it's going to like blow their mind. And then I can't wait for that moment. And I haven't even decided what it's going to be yet. It's like, I will decide that I'll use that when it's fun or when it can really change things. But like, he's going to have this amulet in his pocket for like years and forget about it. And I'm really excited for that to come to fruition one day. I really like dropping things like that in my game and just planting seeds for later. It's a lot of fun, and like not knowing what they'll grow into.
I treat it like DMing for all these years, because I've been a forever DM for most of my time playing this game, and that is something I leaned into many years ago. Is I like the idea of seeding plots and possible plots and things out there. But now I treat it as I go fishing with a wide net. I bait the net and I cast all these possible threads out there, usually within the first X number of sessions, and then I sit back and see what they jump on.
Yeah.
Some of them I have no idea where they're going to end. No preconceived notion. I just put an interesting, cool thing here and go, let's see if they grab it. They ignored that. Awesome. Oh, they grabbed that one? Then that's where we're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just, I will admit this here. There are more sessions I run that are on rails than anyone would ever realize.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all in that delivery. It's all in
Yeah.
how you present it. You know, it's not the illusion of choice because it makes it seem like they have no choice. They do, but it's I've put 6 threads out there and maybe planned the next step beyond each one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's as far as I went with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see what they liked, to see what they care about. And now we'll develop it, you know, from there on. So,
Yeah.
But I get that. I love you're doing what I love. Here is this one little thing. They're going to put it on or put it in a bag.
Yeah.
They're going to put it out of their mind, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to forget about it. And then 2 years later, you're going to bring it up and they're going to, oh shit.
Yeah.
We completely forgot it. Yes, you sure did.
You sure did.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's actually like a sticking point for me in when I'm playing games too. Like whenever I'm DMing or something, like I like when I'm DMing especially. Like I try like I remind myself always like they're not in this world. So like there's a lot of people who will like punish. Like I remember I read okay, I'll start off here. I read like a Reddit post or something where a guy's character died, and the reason he died was because they were climbing a cliff and they were getting attacked by like something that could fly, and so the player said, "Okay, I pull out my 2 swords," and the DM's like, "Okay, you fall to your death." Because what are you holding onto the cliff with if you pull out 2 swords? And like, it's like he's not actually climbing on a cliff. He's not realizing as the player. So you've just killed his character because he's not part of that world. And same thing with this amulet. Like I'll probably like I'll give them some lead in and stuff to it too because it's like he doesn't actually have that guy's pack in front of him. Whereas if he had that pack in front of him, he was like going through it all the time. Like when he's looking for rations one day, he would come across that amulet. Like he has the tangible thing to remind him. Whereas a player, he might have a note on his notepad, but like that's not the same as having a tangible thing. So you have to be lenient to your players. You can't just do gotcha moments. Like, okay, you pulled out 2 swords, you fall off the cliff and you die. Like you can't do stuff like that. You have to like remind them that like it's like, oh, you didn't tell me you were looking left. Well, of course they're looking left because that's where the like you can't just do gotcha moments because these people aren't in the world. You have to remind them that like, they're not there. So you have to help them and guide them and stuff and let them. Also, it's like, oh, yeah, of course your weapon might already be out. Maybe you did draw it out. Like there's a lot of like you have to be very lenient in my mind as a DMs. And there's some people that are just like really hardcore about, well, you didn't say you cast that spell or you didn't do this. Like we're not there.
Oh, you didn't draw. You didn't say you were drawing your weapon while you were moving to attack. So you didn't. Yeah. No, let's get rid of all that.
Yeah.
You know, let's take for granted that some common sense is at play.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, like an incident with your amulet, you know, I think there is also a magic in using the medium and the format in which we deliver these adventures to people.
Exactly.
Using the real world distance and using the real world passage of time to build that intrigue or have a good gotcha moment, to have that moment of shit, I completely forgot about that amulet because I haven't thought about it in real time 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, but I've had it for 2 months or a week or whatever in gameplay.
Or maybe even a couple days. Who knows? Exactly.
And I haven't thought about it. But in this format, you can build that distance. You can build that thing in the background, you know, and have that really awesome narrative moment. And I know I'm not alone in this, but I am tired of to my core, I am sick to death of the DM or GM versus players attitude.
Yeah.
It's old school. It was problematic when it was new school or when it was current school, and it's just shitty behavior. Where we're supposed to be in this kind of together. Yes, I'm running the villains who want to kill you, and but I'm here for you to have a good time, and y'all are here for me to have a good time. So, we're telling this story together. So why? No. That player pulls out 2 swords on that cliffside to fight the flying creature. I kindly remind them, well, you're going to need one hand to hold the rope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It doesn't make you any less awesome. Yeah. Here's the thing. No DM, no self-respecting game master or dungeon master. I'm just going to say GM from now on, but no self-respecting game master wants their players to die. Wants a character to die.
Yeah.
I've built narrative threads around you. If you're
exactly.
dead,
exactly. That's the that kills me. It kills me when like narrative threads are like gone, because like that happened in I'm a big fan of the Glass Cannon podcast, and they had introduced a character, and he ended up being around for a short amount of time, and they started all these wonderful threads, and then when they killed him, those just evaporated away, and it's just like so frustrating as an audience member of like, I really wanted to know what, like, where that was going, and I never get to. Like they're never gonna revisit it, or like, at least they haven't. And it's been a few years since he died, so I'm pretty sure they won't revisit it. So it's just really frustrating to have that. And I get that that's part of the storytelling and everything, but it's still like it's such a letdown, like of investing in that character and getting on that storyline.
No one wants to walk away from stories feeling completely unfulfilled.
Yeah.
There are some threads and there are some story beats that, are probably better left to the audience's imagination. Let us draw our own conclusions on a few things. Sure, But the big stuff, no, I don't want that character dead. Because, I wish I had $1 for every DM I know who's done this. You've built this narrative around a character being the chosen one.
Yeah.
And because of fluke dice rolls, they're dead.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. So about that chosen one thing.
I'm sure that's happened in like a bunch of Monster of the Week games, because there's a class in that game that's called the Chosen One. I'm sure that's happened to a bunch of people, and that's just gotta suck. The thing is though, like, if you can make the main thing is, as a group when you're playing, if someone does die, as a group, try and figure out a way to make that death meaningful, and then if there are threads, committing as a group to like follow those threads afterwards. Whereas if they're just cut and they're just eliminated, that's kind of frustrating. Whereas like, if someone can die with a little bit of meaning, and as long as everyone's committed to like working out those threads, I think that's a lot more satisfying as a group than just being just like, all right, let's just move on. Like that's
agreed.
Yeah.
In the rare moments where I get to play in campaigns for any period of time, that is a policy I've tried to uphold. Is if there is a fluke death or a character leaves or there's something like that that's happened, I try to be that other character that goes, no, this was still important. He was looking for his mom, never found his mom. We should go find his mom.
Yeah.
Let's chase that thread. Let's go find him. And you practically see the GM behind the screen go, oh, thank God.
Yeah. It's like, good, because like I had a whole plan to find that mom.
I had a whole thing. Whole thing planned. Oh, God.
There's going to be giants and like wyverns. Like, I'm so glad you guys are doing this. So like, because like there's nothing worse than doing prep for something as a DM, and then like it's like, okay, never mind, and just like that's the frustrating part to me. Like I've had a few campaigns fizzle after I've done like tons of prep work for like the future, and it's just like a big letdown. It's just like, oh my God, I really wanted to tell this story to somebody, and like that's the problem. That's the problem with this medium is like you gotta convince people to sit down so you can tell them your stories. And so if I can't convince people to do it, then they're just sitting there, and it's just really frustrating. It's like, maybe I should try to take up writing, because at least then like it's up to me, and not other people.
I think in those moments you do both.
Yeah.
I think you write out. I think you write out as much as you can, so you scratch that itch in your brain.
Yeah, exactly.
And then have that freedom to say, in the moment when a person turns left instead of turning right, you go, okay, I've written this out in my head or on paper, so I know what I thought the trajectory was going to be. So now you've changed the trajectory on me, but it's okay. It's still going to be awesome because I'm better prepared to know where to go. You know, because in your head you've already planned for so much.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe it's taboo, and I think there are DMs who would hear me say this and clutch their pearls and how dare you? I'm sorry. If I plan a thing out for a character and that character dies, if there's this epic arc that was planned, I will take those notes, put a paper clip on them, and put them in a folder and go, someday that's someone else's.
Yeah.
We didn't get far enough for them to see it, but somebody will.
Yeah.
And because I mean we're adults. We have our free time is precious.
Yes.
So especially on the Dungeon Master side of the screen, because we're prepping everything. So we're doing what we can and making the most out of those hours. So yes, I 100% will recycle stuff that doesn't get used. I will recycle maps, encounters, you know, for different groups, 100%. And there should be no shame in that for anyone.
I think it's like, I know I've run like the same like one shot for multiple different groups a few times, and like that's so much fun. Like I wasn't sure if I was gonna like enjoy running the same campaign, like same module over again, but like with running with a different group, it's so much fun to see how. Well, first off, the second time you run it, you're gonna do such a better job of it than the first time. You're gonna be so much more into the world because you've lived it before. You've already workshopped some of the NPCs. You already know their voices better. You know more of their motivation than the first time around. But also just getting to see a whole other group react to this same situation, and like because tabletops that's so free, it's like so many wacky, crazy things can happen that it's just it's so much fun, and it just I don't know, it gives you more freedom. Like you're because you already know the setting better than you normally would. You do such a better job at it too. I don't know, it's really nice to like do the same module multiple times. It's just a fun time.
Yeah,
and it's a better experience for everyone.
Yeah, like you said. Well, like you said, your comfort level running it multiple times only increases each time.
Yeah.
And to me, just watching the fascinating psychology of the first group did this. Group B has done something completely different. And then Group C took it to a place I never thought possible.
Yeah.
You know, Group D was comprised of these character classes, and because of this spell and this ability, they completely broke something that I never saw that being possible.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to see those different. At that point, it almost feels like you almost feel like you're either playtesting or you feel like you are literally a scientist in a lab.
Yes.
Just with 4 different petri dishes going. I am putting this here, this here, this here, and this here. Let's see what result we get.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun times. It's such a good hobby. Like it allows so much freedom to. You can be as creative as you want. You can explore such different things, and it's just great too. Like, I think. So I play a lot of Monster of the Week these days, and I feel like that game is really the big tenet of that game is to even as the keeper, as they call their dungeon master, that you're not supposed to plan so far ahead. And I used to plan really far ahead with all my games, and which kept them on rails. It kept it whereas now I'm trying to pull back on that a lot more. And the big tenet in that game is play to see what happens, and that's such a it's such a fun way to be. Like it's so nice to have that. And like I can't fully do that for Pathfinder. Like you have to have some plan, I find, for D&D. You just have to have a little bit, because like preparing maps, like especially like your quality of maps and stuff, like preparing those maps or preparing encounters, you have to like plan at least one session ahead. Not necessarily more than that, but at least one session ahead. Whereas I find with Monster of the Week, I barely have to even plan one session, which is such a fun way to play a game.
Oh, it's perfectly built for that too. It's perfect. It's perfectly built for the let's just see what happens.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And with Theater of the Mind type gaming, you really can get more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a person who makes maps professionally, and in making maps in my home games back in the before times when we had home games, I love maps. I love terrain. I love painting minis. You know, I am further on the Mercer side of the scale when it comes to, you know, combat encounters, but that's because I choose to do that. You don't have to do that.
Exactly.
I just choose to.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and but that's the thing I tell everybody is if you do nothing else, you know, when you're trying to plan for Pathfinder, D&D, any system that like we're talking about, where you, because you're going to use maps and tokens and minis and whatnot, maybe have a little more of a plan. I've started getting to the point now where I just plan an encounter or a couple of encounters, and I just have the assets sitting over here. Let's see if you find them.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's a natural, organic moment in the story and the narrative to where the group is going from point A to point B, and a thing happens, and I go, I've got that woodland map, and we're traveling from point A to point B. This looks like a good place to have an encounter.
Yeah.
Okay, you found one of the encounters. All right, I'm going to pull this thing out, and we're going to go. And it has taken so much day-to-day stress off me as a dungeon master, having to try to anticipate every check and move, you know, and well, if they go here, they might provoke this, and if they go here, no. I took a little bulk of time from a week and planned 4 encounters in 4 different terrains and said, that's it. That's it. It's as much as I'm going to plan right now. We'll see what happens.
No, that's definitely a good way to go about it. Like, for sure. And like, I'm probably gonna have to steal that idea. Like, that's a great idea. Like, as I said, it takes a lot of like the stress off your shoulders, knowing that like that you have that just in your back pocket, and that it can be an interesting encounter and still work into the storyline. It's a nice. There's a lot of tricks to being a dungeon master out there, and I think that's something that most people should know. Like, just have a few set up, and who cares when they get to it, and that's the big thing. I think, and also knowing how to like upscale an encounter and stuff like that, and that's great advice. It's really great advice.
I mean, it's knowing, like you said, when to scale up encounters, when to scale them down. You know, when to read the room and see that an encounter is going a little long at this point. It's becoming a little tedious.
Yeah.
You know, I still use things. I run 5th edition. I love it. It's my favorite edition of the game. Having played everything from and I'm not trying to, cred check myself, but everything from the white box to 5e. And 5e is the best edition I've ever run.
A lot of people say. I've heard a lot of people say that.
It is the easiest to teach. It is the most new player friendly.
Yeah.
So I understand why they are having
a banner
record
year.
Numbers with it. I see it.
And honestly, there are times where you need that easy game.
Makes total sense.
Like, you need that easy game to get someone into the hobby. Like I know, like, all my friends who play Pathfinder have been introduced to it by me, and it's hard to teach that game. There's a lot of buy-in from the players, where if they don't like go and research their feats and stuff like that, it puts so much more work on the dungeon master. Like, if you don't have that buy-in, trying to get that across. I remember, like, when we started playing, I didn't do the best job of teaching them how combats worked in regards to like all of their options in combat, like combat maneuvers and stuff. And I told them a bunch of weeks in a row, okay, make sure you read through this so that you can start doing some cool stuff in combat, like grappling. And they weren't teaching themselves how to do that stuff. So I ended up having to like slap them in the face with it. What I ended up doing was I made like a James Bond type character that joined them for like a mission, and he did all the cool shit. He grappled a guy, he coup de grace a guy, he did ready actions. So he like taught them a whole bunch of combat maneuvers by doing it in front of them. And
so a tutorial through envy.
Yes, exactly what it was. And they to this day, that was like 10 years ago I introduced that character, and he's still talked about in our groups. They like, his name was Argyle, and it's just like, Argyle's the coolest. He's the coolest guy ever. And it was fun in that campaign when I wanted to ramp up the tension in that game. I killed Argyle in front of them. Like, I had some bad guys kill him. And like then they went on a rampage after that to like avenge Argyle. And it was such a fun mechanic, but like I had to do it because like they didn't have that full buy-in. So you need easy games. Like, I think if we were playing 5th edition, it would have been easier. I would have had a better time back then than teaching these guys Pathfinder.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I played some first edition Pathfinder when it was a new thing and all that, and I still, to this day, I know it's not necessarily on subject, but to this day I tell everyone the best starter kit for any game I have ever seen in my life is that first edition Pathfinder starters box. I have never seen a box so packed for the money that it literally gives you everything you need to run that damn game. And I was floored by it. And I said it for years. This should be the benchmark. Every RPG that's doing anything close to this should copy this. Because it's everything you needed. And I really enjoyed Pathfinder. But maybe it was because I was so steeped in 3 and 3.5. You know, and what I was getting from 4th edition, whatever the case may be. But forgive me if you've heard this a million times, but for some reason, I am one of those players when it came to Pathfinder. When me and my players hit a certain level, I started having this whole idea of, I don't want to have a spreadsheet to run my character. Or to track all of yours. Yeah. And the game was still fun, but that's the way I started to kind of feel, you know? So when 5th edition came along, the group had naturally kind of started to putter itself out anyway. So it was a perfect chance to go, okay, let's try this new thing. And from what I understand, 2nd edition Pathfinder fixed a lot of that. And I've heard nothing but good things about 2nd edition Pathfinder. Haven't played it yet, but I've heard it's great. Actually, what are you running? Are you running 1, 2?
We run 1.
What's your thing?
We run 1. We are talking about switching to 2. 2's reputation, I'm finding, at least through like Twitter, that the 2nd edition's reputation is like through the roof right now. A lot of people are saying it's so good. There's a lot of people who are like, say it's so much better than 5th edition. But again, you got to take that with a grain of salt, right? Everyone wants to say every game that they play is better than 5th edition. But like
I mean, everybody's gonna say that.
Yeah, exactly. But I played a little bit of 2nd edition during the play test. So it was low level play that we started with. I think it was like level 3, and it was a lot of fun. Like having the 3 actions per turn, even if one of the actions was a bit of a throwaway action, as it often was, it was still nice to have that option because it made things like pulling out a potion a bit easier. It made like movement a bit easier. And so it seemed a lot easier to make characters as well. Whereas like recently, so with Pathfinder, I have Hero Lab, so I have never really made a character by myself for Pathfinder ever. I've always used it. Yeah, I'm a cheater, a huge cheater. So
Peter.
my buddy wants to run us through Starfinder as like our Halloween special. He wants to do like a scary sci-fi story. So I'm like, I was trying to find a good like cheat sheet for Starfinder. I couldn't find one I liked. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make this character pen and paper myself. I did pull out a spreadsheet and I started putting together my own spreadsheet. God damn, is it hard? God damn. God damn it, is it hard? Because like there's just so many things where you have to like go back.
Oh, sir wants to choose. Sir wants to choose feats, does he?
Yes. Yeah. It's just trying to add up your skills. Just trying to add up your skills is like, this is awful. This is so awful. Now I have to figure out armor check penalty. Now I have to do like figure out which. So awful. So, and I did it. I made it. I successfully made a level 1 Starfinder player. I've done it, and it was terrible. So I'm so glad I have Hero Lab for Pathfinder because it is very crunchy. And if you're not, and like, there's a lot of things that like understanding that for your armor class, you can't have 2 dodge bonuses. You can't have 2 deflection bonuses. Like, so understanding stuff like that. Right. It's just so tedious. We're like, yeah, I get +3 from this and +4 from that. I'm like, actually, no. You get the +4 because they're both dodge bonuses. It's like, ugh.
And you have to take the greater of the 2, and that's one cancels out other.
Yeah.
And
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's so crunchy. So crunchy. And I get why people jump ship from Pathfinder 1. I get why Pathfinder 2 is a great product. And I think we will probably end up switching to it. Because like, as I said, we've read a lot about it. It seems great. It sounds like they've made a better attempt to make the game balanced from level 1 to 20. That's what it sounds like they've done. And I know there's a lot of people who complain about 5th edition being only good for 5 to 11 or something like that is what I've heard. Whereas like the upper play is bonkers. So I'm not sure with that. I've never experienced that myself, but Pathfinder 2 sounds interesting.
Recently.
Yeah. What's higher level play like?
I have experienced upper level. It is no more bonkers than high level play in any edition of any game. It's high level play.
Yeah.
That's basically my takeaway is it's high level play. It's always going to be big dice and powers and spells that you look at and read and go, how the fuck is that in this game? Okay, well, it's in the book. We're using it. And Meteor Swarm looking at you. But that's the thing is I think the industry is I've said this before. The industry is in a new renaissance period. And I think it's amazing that we have a game like Pathfinder that is popular with a large fan base that is running parallel to Dungeons and Dragons that is large and has a popular fan base. And they are only in the sense that they are rolling D20s and using some of the same words, but they are different games.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome, and all the other multitudes of wonderful games that are out there. Will games like, you're going to have Dungeons and Dragons, you're going to have Pathfinder, you're going to have like Genoa said, you're going to have games like, Mutants and Masterminds. And then you're going to have stuff that you would consider more indie. You're going to have your games like Dread, which is one of the best games ever written. You're going to have games that no one's ever played that are amazing, like 10 Candles, that are just absolute game changers when you experience them. And they will completely change the way you dungeon master and look at role-playing games for the rest of your life. We need all of that.
Yeah.
Because most of us are of an age.
And there's room for all
we
of
know
that
what
too.
it was like.
Yeah.
Yes, that exactly. There's room for all of it. There's an audience for all of it. So the low-key edition wars and finger pointing of, oh, you play this, you must be a sellout. Oh, you play this, you must be a hipster. That shit's tired.
Yeah.
Okay. We're just... It's amazing to me that we went from being a bunch of nerds when we were kids, getting chastised because we played tabletop games by the cool kids. And now that role-playing games are kind of mainstream and the cool kids are playing, the nerds are starting to turn on each other more hardcore than they ever did before. And that baffles me.
Yeah.
we should be partying in the streets, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like
we made it.
yeah, we have made it. Like
We're
you're
here.
right. It is a renaissance period. Like there's so much wonderful content out there. There's so many people producing for it. Like you can play any sort of game that you want, and the only thing that gets in people's way is themselves. Like we were talking about the invisible referee, like, Silencio Bruno. Like you just gotta get past all that and just let people enjoy things. Let yourself enjoy things. I think there's a lot of people that don't let themselves enjoy things, and that's a problem. Like you just
Yeah.
get out of your own way and just.
Well, I mean, there's some people that just can't. They roll out of bed in the morning and they have to immediately judge what the person next to them is doing, and that's just who they are. They have to judge. They have to. Oh, you're playing this game wrong, or you're not playing the right game, whatever the case may be. But the good news is it feels like the majority of us playing games right now are just enjoying the fact that we are spoiled for choice. From systems to worlds to hell, you brought it up and it's a really good point. The support we have for certain games for people who are not steeped in how to run or play those games. We have Hero Labs, we have D&D Beyond, we have Fantasy Grounds and Astral and Roll20 and all these amazing digital assets that are making it easier for people who go, I don't have the first clue with the saving throw is, to say, no problem. Here's your character. We'll show you how to do it. Please come play.
That's the great
to
thing.
Me, that's what the entire industry screaming right now.
Yeah, I've always experienced that with gaming. Like, there's always someone out there that's willing to help you learn. Like, there's jump on a Reddit, jump on a forum. Even if you just search them, often your question's been asked already. There have been some, like, there are some people that like to gatekeep, but like for every gatekeeper, there's two people that are trying to welcome you in. Like, there's such a fun camaraderie in this hobby. Like, I don't know, I've met some great people doing this stream and trying to get into people's discords and meeting people, and there's a lot of wonderful welcoming people, and I think that's the biggest thing about gaming, like about this renaissance that's going on, is like there's a lot of people coming together that normally wouldn't, and it's just really nice to see.
Agreed. It is a thing I commonly say. It is a great time to be a gamer.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
makes me very happy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's such a. I've used D&D Beyond a little bit, and I gotta say, like, as just to make characters, it was really, really good. A bit better than Hero Lab, I think.
Sorry, I was reading chat.
Yeah, me too.
The CD-ROM of D&D tools from 2E and 3E. Yeah, that's true. Perhaps you can open this lock for us, thief. I love, because it was the actual play that they had on there. Oh, that was so good. Yeah.
I always liked that, like, basically the first actual play podcast was the first Dragonlance book. Like, cause that's how that was written, is like they played a game and then they wrote it down. And I just love that that's our first actual play podcast. Like, and the great thing about that too is, like, in that first book, like, they befriend, I think it was a gully dwarf that they came across, and it might be in that DM must have been like, oh shit, now I gotta write this gully dwarf into this book now. God damn it. And that's just the funniest thing is, so players have always loved adopting that crazy little goblin, kobold, whatever it is, into their group. And like, we did it in our podcast even too. Like, we have kobold friends now because of stuff. And it's fun. Like, we all love doing that. It's such a funny thing.
There's a running theme in every campaign I run. There will be a goblin.
Yeah, there has to be.
You don't know when that goblin's going to show up, but there will be a goblin. And that goblin will be a damn delight. You will love them. You will want them to be around all the time, or if they're not a delight, you will find them interesting. And it's one little thing I have, one little, I guess the best way to put it, a goblin in my campaign is unto like the Cid in every Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
That goblin is my Cid.
Yeah.
And you'll find them eventually. They're there.
Yeah, they're there. They're tucked in that little woodland scenario you have on the side there somewhere. I'm just,
and you may never see them coming, but they'll be there.
They'll be there. I'm racking my brain. I'm pretty sure that on our podcast called Goblins and Gambles, I don't know if we've had a goblin yet. I really don't think we have. I'm trying to rack my brain.
I feel like at this point there should be. I mean, that's false advertising.
It really is. We are part of a big collaboration where we've gotten together with like a bunch of other Canadian podcasts or Canadian people in the TTRPG world, and we mixed all each other up, and we're doing like guest spots on each other's shows, and it's like a big arcing story, a Canadian themed story. I play a goblin swashbuckler in that, so I upheld the name of our podcast for my character, and that was such a fun character. I can't wait for that to be released. That episode, because
I want to see Goblin Errol Flynn.
That's
in action. I want to see that goblin swinging off chandeliers. I want it.
That was my inspiration, and I was with a great group of people for that game, and the DM for it did such a fantastic job, because it was like basically Calvin Ball we were playing. Like the rules didn't really matter. We did some crazy wacky things. And I just can't wait, because like I just jump into it with this goblin, and it was so much fun being that guy. I hope I get to play him again one day, because it was just a lot of fun being like a goblin pirate. Errol Flynn, exactly. Yeah.
I have threatened players for years with in the don't threaten me with a good time, but I have threatened players for years with a concept for a campaign I want to run. Someday, when I find the right group of people, I want to run a group where every player character in that group is comprised of non-human. All of them are some kind of, and I'm going to use this term, some kind of monstrous race. Yeah. Anything from goblins to bugbears to yeti to whatever in between. But the catch is, every one of you have to have at least one level in Bard, and then you may multi-class into whatever you want. And you're going to be a traveling band moving across the countryside, going from gig to gig. Yes, this is the D&D version of Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem from the Muppet Show.
That would be so much fun. So much fun. That'd be crazy fun.
I want that group. I want that group of misfits in that band, traveling the land, seeing the world, and solving crimes along the way.
Yeah. And the great thing about that campaign is like you could tell such disjointed stories, such like one-off stories, because it's like, which town are they in this week? Like, it's very much like that, where it's just like you have an overarching character story, but like the shenanigans they get into every time. That's a great story idea. I would be part of that for sure. That'd be so much fun.
Well,
I want to be a mind flayer. Jeez.
Oh my god, a mind flayer. Oh my god. Orc? Do you want to be an orc? Orc is too humanoid.
Yeah, it's way too easy. Come on, get out of
here. No. You give Minotaur? All right, Minotaur will let fly, but I'm talking, I want you to be like a fucking Yeti. I want a Bigfoot. Be the Sweetums of the group. I want it. But the thing is because like that dovetails, because I recently just started running I ran a charity game for Jasper's Game Day a few weeks back. But that group, this random group of strangers that came together because they bought a seat at my table. Yeah. And I put on my big boy pants and went above and beyond so they could have a nice time, because it was a really good cause. But the group of people ended up being fantastic. Just we literally won like the random players at a table lottery. Yeah. Where everyone gelled, every character was interesting. They liked me, I liked them. We were passing notes to each other with check boxes, yes and no. They were all yes. It was great. And we decided to make it a monthly game.
Nice. Amazing.
But that transitioned into the conversation of like we talked about this earlier, being adults, having precious free time to do things. And I'm starting to lean more towards the idea of running campaigns that are starting sessions. They're starting in media res. They're starting, like an episode of Star Trek. We're starting with the date is this. We have been called here to do this. Here we go. And just getting on with it. Just that, I guess that's becoming my battle cry. Just let's get on with it.
I mean, that's how I run any of my Monster of the Week sessions. It's just like we're not. There's been weeks since your last session. We're gonna gloss over a lot of that, and I try to frame it as a show. Like I even talk about like in one episode, it's like, okay, now we're having like a nice helicopter shot where the helicopter's following you guys as you're like racing across. And then the next episode, it was okay, we don't have enough budget for that helicopter. This week it's a drone. There's a drone. This is how the drone shot is going. And like I try to frame it as a television show, and that helps me a lot with that game for sure, because I mean it's really based in TV. So being able to use like that, like a jump cut, like a television show would is really good. I also so our group splits up a lot when they're going to do the investigation. So I try to think of it as, okay, if this is a show, at this point they would switch to the other character. Like there's a tension point here where like, okay, you're about to turn this corner. Okay, we're going to go see what Bob's doing. I would jump to Bob and do his little scene and then jump back and forth just like TV does. I find that helps keep the pace up, keeps the tension up, and keeps everyone more involved in what each other are doing. I really like the main reason I would pick Monster of the Week over Pathfinder or any of those games these days is I just find that like everyone is less involved in like their character sheet, and they're way more involved in the action all the time. And that's why I really enjoy that style of game. I always find like afterwards, like my voice is hoarse because I'm talking like the whole time basically. Whereas with Pathfinder, I'm like, okay, I gotta do this, and you gotta look over stats and do all sorts of stuff. And there's so much more downtime I find with Pathfinder.
Well, I mean, isn't that always, if you look at it and you play a wide range of games, isn't that always the case? You always, 9 times out of 10, you will find that the simpler, the more simple the character sheet, the more involved the players are. Because like you said, I'm not looking at feats, I'm not looking at stats, I'm not looking at numbers. Some of the most immersive role-playing experiences I've ever had in my life were 2 games, Dread and Honey Heist.
Honey Heist is like no rules.
Honey Heist is literally, you have 2 stats, bear and criminal. That's it. And the rest of it is just you making things up on the fly and seeing what you can get away with.
Exactly.
And 10 Candles actually was kind of the same way. The rules are minimal, but the immersion is everything. So yeah, but like I said, I'm glad we have all that range. We have all that choice now, and it's
that. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
And you can find there's so many posts where people are like, I want to run like this type of game in Pathfinder or D&D. And it's like, you know what? There's this a whole other game that does all that stuff that you want to do. Like, just play that other game. Like, there's so many options out there. There's so many ways to play now. Like stop. People really have to stop fencing themselves in. Like explore the world, find what works best for you, and go from there. What's 10 Candles? I've heard of that one. What's that one about?
10 Candles is the short version. 10 Candles is a very role-play immersive game where you're literally going to use 10 candles that are lit. And the GM, the storyteller, the keeper, the DM, the GM, essentially. The fascinating thing about 10 Candles is, and you got to bear with me here, to me the most fascinating thing about it is when you sit down at that table and you get your group of friends in this darker room that's all atmosphere with just the light of these candles on the table, that when you play, by the time the session's over, you're going to die.
Oh yeah,
you're going to die.
Yeah.
There's no way out. You cannot cheat the system. You're going to die. And through the course of telling this story, and I'll use my example. My example was coincidentally, before A Quiet Place was a thing, the session that I played in, it was very much this was after the initial onslaught, and the people were trying to survive to get from point A to point B, just to try to find some safety. And it is, we knew, GM explained it, said, you're not going to survive this. It's about the story we tell along the way. So sitting in that dark room with those 10 candles and knowing that our players were going to take actions. So we were trying to get from where we were to a helicopter pad that my ex-military guy knew was there. The story was the journey we took on the way, and using the candle mechanic of, I need to get here and do this thing. I need to perform this action. We really need this in this moment to move the story. Put out a candle.
Yeah.
They extinguish one. I succeed, but a candle's out. And it's all about building that tension of the candles are going out. We know that when the candles are out, we're done, you know? So it's all about trying to find that sense of fulfillment. And it was the added level of immersion for us was the GM took her phone and said, okay, I'm going to turn on the voice recorder. I want each one of you to take this into my bedroom, close the door, and leave a voicemail for a family member. In like this, okay, we're like mine was, well, honey, we're about to go try to find this helicopter, and I hope you get this message. I've been calling and you're not answering. I hope you're alive. You know, that sort of thing. And when the session was over, the minute she put out the last candle, she picked her phone up and hit play. And it was all of our voicemails. And it was gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
It was all our voicemails. And it was, we're all literally sitting here with tears in our eyes for characters that we have known for 2 hours playing this. And it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had at a table in playing this game, for playing RPGs for 30
That gives
years.
me chills.
It
like,
was
that's
amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
What a beautiful
I got goosebumps thinking about it again.
That's amazing. What a way to tell a story. Like, holy crap.
Yeah. But there again, that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm trying to scream to everyone these days is, do you love D&D? I love D&D. Wonderful. There are so many games out here to play that if you only play D&D, that's your choice, and that's awesome.
Yeah, great.
Have
amazing.
fun.
Yeah.
But if you can find people and find groups and find moments to step out and try something different, who knows what you'll learn. That one session of 10 candles informed decisions I've made in games ever since.
Exactly.
From a narrative standpoint.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, you get better playing in other people's games. You get better listening to other people's games. You get better playing new games, like, and absorbing those lessons. And like that's the main thing when it comes down to it. Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons, they're mainly combat simulators. And the older I get, the less I want to simulate combat. I want the stories more than the combat. And if I have to go elsewhere for that, I'm willing to do that now. And that's the joy, is the stories along the way. Like, that's why I like Monster of the Week, is like, it's not about the combat. It's about all the crazy NPC conversations we end up having, and the investigation along the way. And it's like, and that's the fun part. That's what's so amazing about it. Like, we're not worried about like, okay, I'm doing a 5-foot step to get to the left of this Yeti so that you can. It's not about that. And there is a place for that. I still do enjoy those games, but I'm not even sure what my point here is. It's just, there's so much other stuff out there. Like, why only do a combat simulator when there's other amazing ways we can tell stories together?
Well, it's that, I think what it comes down to for me, and I think for most of us, even if we all can't find ways to articulate them a lot, is I have room in my heart and I have room at my table for all of them.
Yeah.
I run Dungeons and Dragons because it's my favorite game to run, my favorite game to play. But like you just said, I'm most of the time far more interested in the sessions where we just role play as a group and we move a story forward. Anybody who plays me, and from what I'm saying, there's people that play at my table in this chat right now. They know me. I want combat to be quality over quantity. So when a fight breaks out in one of my games, you know it has meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is you walk into room A2 and there's a goblin.
Yeah.
You know,
Get that out of here.
We're
done with that.
There's none of that.
Yeah.
We're done with that. We're all too old for that.
Yeah.
We have, as gamers, have evolved.
I don't want a random encounter table anymore. I don't need that.
Now, I know I say that, and there's a group of people that are sitting around a table. I know that there are a group. I know we're saying it. There's a group of people sitting at a table right now going, "What's on the table, Doug?" Shit, another goblin. You know, if they're having fun, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. You know, but that's the thing that I'm trying to scream from the mountaintop is it isn't about trying to figure out what we all should be doing. It's what are we doing?
Yeah.
At this table, what works for us?
Mm-hmm.
Forget everyone else.
Yeah.
Don't worry what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, they're not at your table.
You know, just
there's that invisible referee's not sitting there telling you how to play this game. It's what are you guys doing? What are you doing to have fun? Have fun. Like enjoy it. Yeah. Our time is precious.
But
take it seriously.
We need to make the most of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't play something you don't want to. Don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah, and if this session never involves a dice dropped in anger, then awesome. Mm-hmm. Awesome. If this entire session is nothing but us somehow being roped into being the judges for a goblin hoedown, then giddy up.
Yeah,
it's time to go. You know, let's do it. Yeah. You know, so, but yeah, that's there's so many great games out there now. So many great games.
There's just some amazing people that have been like drawn into this hobby, and they're creating wonderful things. It's like you said, we're in the Renaissance right now. It's wonderful, and like hopefully it lasts for a long, long time.
I mean, if you based on what you read, on the success of D&D and other RPGs kind of across the board. Mm-hmm. I would venture to say we're in the middle of it.
Yeah,
we're not near a decline yet.
No, there's no way. There's no way.
We're in the midst.
No,
you know. Granted, I'm sure everybody being kind of locked in for pandemics, I'm sure influenced it.
Yeah,
but I don't think we're near a decline yet.
Yeah.
I think there's still plenty of more good games to come.
Like where we all technology wise and stuff too is just plays into it so much too. It's like it's so much easier to get a game together with people because you don't have to be in the same town anymore. You can be all over the country. You can. It's like the guys in our game. Some of us are here near Toronto, and there's other ones on the East Coast, like hours away. And like, if it wasn't for technology, we couldn't play that. So it's so much easier to get things going and meet people and do things now than it was before. Like there's really no reason it should end at any time soon, and I don't see it ending. I think it's something that's going to last for a long, long time. We're all going to introduce our kids to it. Mm-hmm. We're going to introduce our nieces and nephews to it. I think that role playing games are going to be a part of our future for a long time to come. I think.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Mm-hmm. And that's something that makes me happy.
Yeah,
makes me truly happy.
Yeah,
it's nice. It's nice to know when hobbies are going to, hobbies are going to have a longevity. Like I'm sure that if tomorrow for some reason the bottom fell out of the industry, it would be a terrible thing. Mm-hmm. But the books are still there. Yeah. The games are still there.
I mean,
that's something a friend of mine said a long time ago, and I took it to heart. It's 100% true. It was the transition. It was going from the transition from second edition to third edition, and people were making that jump. And he went, "I still own all my second edition books. No one can take those away from me.
That invisible referee's not busting in here to burn those to the ground. We can play second edition forever if we want." Yeah.
No.
All right, it's 9:30.
Yeah, no. The gaming police is not kicking your door.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have that fire squad coming in and burning things down. It's somehow 9:30 already. We didn't get to the Lich in Icewind Dale, unfortunately, due to technical difficulties. But I think even without Icewind Dale, I think I had I had a great night. thank you so much, Brian, for coming out. Check out Brian's everything. His Twitter is amazing. He's such a force of like good on there. He's always pumping people up, and check out his art. We didn't even get to talk about your maps, and I loved all of them. I want to shout out to the one that's, I think it was a lava one, where it was like a tower that goes down, and there's, do you know what I'm talking about? I just love that map. I think that I just love your style, and I wish we could have talked about it more. Maybe if we ever get on the show again, we'll talk about more map stuff. But Brian, this was a great time. I'm so glad to have met you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a wonderful time, and I know we didn't get to talk about maps, and I'm sorry I didn't get to watch you kick the hell out of a lich.
Yeah,
but
man.
I know you will. I know you'll get it.
I'll get it.
You'll get it done.
Yeah, I'll get it done. I killed some zombies though.
But
check out
I do love to check out Brian's everything.
Yeah,
everything. I mean, it's all on the table.
It is.
Just saying,
yeah,
you know?
but that's what I'm saying. You're such a force of good. I'm really happy you came on the show. Thanks everyone in the chat. I really appreciate everyone getting in there, being so active. Yeah. All right.
All right.
I'm gonna go now.
You have a wonderful night.
All right. Thank you
again,
so
much for having me, man.